The fall of the Berlin Wall during the night of November 9, 1989, was the most seismic political event of my lifetime. It changed the world forever and produced the first signal that the Cold War was about to be consigned to history. Spellbound, I looked on as thousands of Germans from both sides of the divide, Ossis and Wessis, attacked the concrete monstrosity with sledgehammers, chisels and claw hammers, anything they could lay their hands on, and began streaming across the rubble as police and border guards watched, powerless to intervene. As the crowd flooded into Spate, it was obvious that things could never be the same again in the fractured Germany that had emerged after the Second World War, the eastern half a communist enclave subservient to Moscow, the western half nominally free but still a garrison for 4 Nato armies and their air forces. Following 28 years of sullen division, the two Germanys were on their way to a new beginning, an eventuality that had seemed unlikely for as long as I could remember. I had first visited the city in the summer of 1962, the year following the construction of the wall, and a couple of months before it claimed one of its youngest victims in 18-year bricklayer Peter Fechter, shot by the Volkspolizei attempting to escape to the west. The events which led to the Mauerfall all happened so quickly that it is easy to forget that there was a certain inevitability which eluded most of us at the time. 2 years earlier, in December 1987, against a background of reform in the Soviet Union sparked by President Mikhail Gorbachev, the US and the Soviet Union signed the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces (INF) treaty, which eliminated all nuclear and conventional missiles with ranges of up to 3,420 miles together with their launchers. It represented a major thaw in the Cold War, as it was the first arms control treaty to require an actual reduction in nuclear arsenals rather than merely restricting their proliferation. It was not the end of the Cold War, but it was the beginning of the end. After the INF treaty was signed, there could be no turning back, and while Gorbachev was beginning to face some internal resistance to his reforms, his much-touted concepts of perestroika, economic restructuring, and glasnost, openness, had taken hold and were beginning to alter people's attitudes and ambitions. The pace of change also encouraged emergent nationalism in the Soviet satellites, especially in the Baltic states and the southern Islamic republics, where there was a growing desire to break free from Soviet control. Further west, the two Germanys were also on the move towards reunification and tearing down the Iron Curtain which divided them. This process accelerated in the middle of August 1989 when the Hungarian government effectively opened its border with Austria, thus allowing East German. For more on this story, visit the news article link.